This is Shanti, V for the win, back with another episode as we dive into the Afc West. This is always one of my favorite divisions. Last year, man, I was wrong last year. I had Denver kind of challenging the Chiefs last year, but for whatever reason, the Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett experiment was a disaster. You know what I mean? Didn't have a good start. Didn't start off good. Didn't progress good. Didn't end good. Ultimately, Russ looked like a shell of himself, and the coach got fired. You know what I mean? And it was justified. Totally wasn't the year that the Broncos expected. As we start off, with the Broncos. First, let's get to the Vegas odds for this division. It's going to be super. I think it's going to be super competitive, but I don't know, man. I'll get to my reasons in a moment. But KC's coming in, minus 165 at 11.5 wins. Vegas has got them at 11.5, 12. They won 14 games last year. The Chiefs was an absolute juggernaut last year. This division, listen, they own this division. They're going to win this division again, I think, going away. I don't think it's any competition in this division. It could be competitive for the second spot because I think much as people want to poo-poo on the Raiders, I think that the Raiders are a decent team. But right now, talking about Denver, the Chargers, we're at plus 290. In second place right now, according to Vegas, at 9.5 wins. When you look at the Chargers finished the season last year. They went to the playoffs, finished 10-7 last year. Totally choked that game away against the Jaguars. Even though the Jags have a Super Bowl caliber roster, in my opinion, but you absolutely should win that game last year. I think the coach is on the hot seat. We're gonna get into the Chargers in a minute. They're, like I said, plus 290, 9.5 wins. Denver, plus 600, 8.5 wins, coming in third. And then you got the Raiders, plus 1,600 at 6.5 wins, bringing up the rear for this division. I do think the Chiefs are the class of this division. They're going to win this division again, I think. Like I said, last year they went 14-3. The Chargers, they won the division by 4 games last year. You know what I'm saying? And I think it may be about the same this year. Just going off of what the Chiefs have, the Kansas City Chiefs are the Super Bowl champions. Everybody's coming for them. You got the number one quarterback. The best quarterback in the NFL right now. Patrick Mahomes. Listen, who don't love Patrick Mahomes at this point? You know what I'm saying? At this point in his career, what he's accomplished, couple Super Bowls. He's got the Chiefs rolling, man. The Chiefs organization just do it right. You know what I mean? They do it right. You look at the only question mark, for me with the Chiefs is maybe the offense may stall out the beginning of the season. You know what I mean? With a new OC, Bieniemy went on to Washington. Was a mainstay. Eric Bieniemy was a mainstay with the Chiefs, but they got Andy Reid still, man. You got Patrick Mahomes, you got Andy Reid, you got Isaiah Pacheco, you got Jerick McKinnon, Claude Hilaire, Edwards-Hilaire. They have a formidable offense still. You know what I mean? With obviously Travis Kelce, best tight end in the league. The only question mark I have with this team, the Chiefs, is the receiving core. You know what I mean? They won the Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill. I think that Patrick Mahomes is the X factor and can make anybody go in line with the game plan of the Kansas City Chiefs. Justin Ross is a guy I'm highlighting because I think Justin Ross has got some value. You know what I'm saying, with this team, with this a guy they didn't have last year. So Justin Ross, they did draft the kid. They traded for Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice. Valdez Scantling. They have some players. Not as much speed. McCole Hardman's gone too as well. Not as much speed as we used to. But it's going to be a different kind of offense, I think. And I think Patrick Mahomes, listen, he'll adapt and make it work. But I think essentially, the Chiefs if you can catch the Chiefs early, speaking of that, they're playing the opening game against the Lions. The Chiefs may have the hardest schedule in the NFL. If you look at the Kansas City Chiefs' first 6-7 games of the season, they got the Lions first game of the season coming up Thursday night. You got the Jaguars in week 2. You play the Bears in week 3, which is not going to be a gimme anymore with the Bears. You got the Jets coming up on Sunday Night Football, week 4. Circle that one on your calendars. You got the Vikings week 5 and the Broncos week 6. Notable games coming up. December they played at home against Buffalo. That's always a intriguing game. Full of intrigue. So that game right there, Buffalo. I mean, how many times have we said it? Is this going to be the year that Buffalo unseats the Chiefs? I don't think so, but still going to be a big game in December. And then the last game of the season against the Bengals at home. You never know what that game might have playoff implications for Cincinnati. They might need this game, the last game of the season to get into playoffs. You never know. I think this is going to be the Chiefs' toughest task yet. You know what I'm saying? With a new OC, still rebuilding the receiver room, and then with a tough schedule. I think that, it's very hard to repeat in the NFL. If it's one guy that can do it, it's Patrick Mahomes. We all know that. You know what I'm saying? So look out for the Chiefs. I think they are going to win this division, though. I have my Super Bowl predictions later in a couple shows to come, but I like the Chiefs. I think that, listen, they're one of the top. They are the top team in the AFC, I think, still. You know what I mean? But I think the NFC has built up, their teams and the rosters to kind of compete a little bit better with the Chiefs. So we'll see. Second place in this division is the LA Chargers, man. The Chargers really disappointed me last year. You know what I mean? I'm a Justin Herbert guy. I think that right now, like I said, their coach is definitely on a hot seat. You can't lose a game like they did in the playoffs and then fizzle out the following season. So it's all eyes on the Chargers, man. They could lose their coach at the beginning of the season. During the season. So let's look out for that. Listen, the Chargers got some players, man. It's now or never for this team, in my opinion. Stemming from last year's playoff loss, you cannot end the season the way they did last year. They got some nice draft picks. I mean, talent isn't the issue with the Chargers. I think that they're going to still be able to score points. Austin Eckler. They did draft Quentin Johnston, who I like, to boost up their receiver room. They have a talented team, man. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Palmer, Quentin Johnston. They really have, they added Deion Henley, one of my favorite draft picks. I wanted him coming out of Washington State, that linebacker, to bolster up their defense. They got a talented team. Derwin James in the back. This team could really take off. It's just, I think that they're just running up against, it's always one team that another team can't beat. And any given talent, any given season, any given whatever sport it is, like in the NBA, certain teams just can't get over the hump, and a certain team might have their number. I think in this case, the Chiefs has the Chargers number, man. Just every time they play, it's almost like you're waiting for the Chargers to push them out of the way. At least since Justin Herbert's been there. It might be a little bit unfair because Justin Herbert is roughly in his third season coming up. So I'm hard on the Chargers because I think they've been disappointing. This team does have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. Rashawn Slater, one of the top offensive linemen in the league, in my opinion. They have some talent. It's just they got to put it together. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if, management's going to be patient enough with the coach. Obviously Justin Herbert's there to stay, but, he has some talent around him. He's got the pieces. It wouldn't surprise me to see the Chargers, right now, Vegas has got the Chargers at 9.5. 9.5 wins. It wouldn't surprise me to see the Chargers win 10, 11 games, but if they do, I just don't see the Chargers getting far enough, like Super Bowl caliber for this team. And for me, that would be disappointing. You know what I mean? To put this roster together, Asante Samuel, another guy, in their secondary, which I like. They just constantly stockpile. You got Bosa. They've constantly stockpiled draft picks. It's just they just can't put it together for whatever reason. So we take a look at the Chargers. Man, you put an asterisk by this team, man. I think it's going to be all eyes on them, coaching staff, everybody right now. The Denver Broncos, you get into the Broncos plus 600, 8.5 wins, for this season. Vegas has got them, man. Listen, the experiment with Nathaniel Hackett was a disaster last year. You know what I mean? I think that Russell Wilson is way better than what he put out last year. I can't believe people are just saying he's washed up. I don't know where all that narrative's coming from. I think he was half of the problem, but I do think that, the other half was, the scheme. It just wasn't a good fit. So bringing Sean Payton in right there, proven head coach, with some cachet, if you want to say that, has a Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a good marriage between those two. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that the philosophies may work. You know what I mean? Peyton is used to playing against, Russell Wilson when Wilson was in Seattle and Peyton was with the Saints. So they're kind of familiar with each other, which I like. They got some talent, man. Marvin Mims, they did draft him in the draft coming up at receiver. They did trade their top tight end, the Philly, which I was surprised they did that. You know what I mean? So now sort of like maybe the tight end situation might be something to look at, might be like a weakness for this team. Listen, the Denver Broncos are, they got Tim Patrick. He's out to start the season. You got Jerry Jeudy. He's out to start the season. They're going to have to rely heavily on Javonte Williams, this running game, and hopefully, the legs of Russell Wilson. The only thing you worry about with Russ is him taking off and running. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe that part of his game might not be, would he, I wouldn't have him sit there running and trying to get first downs and everything like that, because I think that part of it is cut his lifespan as a quarterback way shorter. You know what I'm saying? So I think that Russell Wilson's going to have to make some plays. Don't force anything, but I think he could be, more of a game manager, if you say, and then use his legs occasionally. That could happen. I think on the defensive end, this is where the bread and butter for this team. They're going to have to, stop some people. They did draft Drew Sanders in the draft from Arkansas, one of the top linebackers, which, everybody gives that a high grade. Drew Sanders is a good player, man, and I think he will help out. I don't know if Bronco, like the Chargers, we know they're talented. We know, the Chiefs, the Chargers got some talent. We're going to get to the Raiders in a bit. But I think out of all the four teams, I think that maybe Denver, as far as the draft free agency, didn't capitalize like the other three teams in their division. So that situation right there, I think, may knock them down a peg. That's why I put the Chargers before the Broncos, because I just think the Broncos going to be undermanned. You know what I'm saying? Offensively, that's what you need to win football games now, and I think that they're coming in at a disadvantage right now. You know what I mean? Because they got a couple guys hurt. So it might be, tough, but I think Sean Payton can work it out, scheme it up, and, be able to manufacture some offense at least until, their big guns comes back. So we'll see. We'll see what the Broncos, I don't think the Broncos are like going to challenge for this division. If I had to handicap the win, Vegas has got them. What do they got? The Broncos at 8.5. I mean, I think that they'll be lucky to win 8 games. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, it's an 9-8 football team. This is what it looks like to me. Especially first season under Sean Payton. It's an experience. He's gonna see what he has, and then move forward, go accordingly there. Last but not least, the Raiders. I've always been high on the Raiders, especially the Derek Carr years. Obviously, both sides decided to move on. Now you got Jimmy Garoppolo starting at quarterback. Listen, say what you want about Jimmy. He can win football games during the regular season. In the playoffs, he's shown to just can't get over the hump. I just remember vividly the Green Bay game when he's with the 49ers, and it was just like all you had to do was make one play. You know what I'm saying? And he just couldn't do it. You know what I mean? It's just like Garoppolo's got it all. I mean, he's got the veteran leadership qualities. I think that the teams he's been on, his teammates like him, and it's just like we're waiting on Jimmy to kind of get over the hump and go and take his team to the Super Bowl. But we'll see. You know what I mean? He has played in big games, has played in Super Bowl, but this Raiders team is talented. I really do like this Raiders team. I think that's going to be their only problem is they got a bunch of new guys and they're trying to incorporate them into an already rebuilding roster. I'm sorry. I think that the Raiders are going to be a team that could be good in some years to come. You know what I mean? They might not be ready this year. I like Tyree Wilson. I like Michael Mayer to pick a tight end. I think Michael Mayer's going to have a chip on his shoulder. He's going to be Garoppolo's best friend. They get Byron Young, the defensive lineman from Tennessee. I thought that was a steal in the draft to get him where they got him. Jacorian Bennett, speedster on the outside and secondary to go with what they already have. You got Josh Jacobs. You got Devontae Adams. You look around this team, and they got some players, man. Devontae Adams. You look at Jacoby Myers, you got Hunter Renfrow, Michael Mayer. They're going to be able to score. This team is absolutely going to be able to score some points. If the Broncos don't look out, they're going to get leapfrogged in this division, man. I really do believe that. I think that if Garoppolo stays healthy, and I think if the offensive line play is going to be huge with this team. They've always had some problems on the offensive line. Defensively, they're not that bad. Max Crosby is a factor coming off that edge. Tyree Wilson, adding him, I think that was a really good pick for the Raiders, man. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised that the Raiders, Vegas has surprisingly got the Raiders hovering around 6.5 wins. I think I would say over on that. I think that the Raiders absolutely can win 8 games. You know what I'm saying? Win 9, 8 games. They're in that hover around. And then don't look out. I mean, the Chargers are a team I don't believe in, and I think the Raiders could be good enough they could battle for second place. I really believe that. I think the Chiefs are the class of this division. They're going to win this division. But the question mark is who's going to grab that second spot? You know what I'm saying? Whether it's the Chargers, okay, you could say the Chargers all you want. But I think that the Raiders got the talent. I think they got more talent than the Broncos. I think that this is going to be highly competitive, man, for that second spot. So, man, it could be an outside chance of the playoffs, wild card. We'll see. You know what I mean? But if I had to handicap it, I would say that the Chiefs going to win this division. Easy. I think second, I'm going to give it to the Chargers. Maybe 9 wins, 10 wins. I would say the Raiders. And then we're going to go with the Denver Broncos. You know what I mean? Like I said, I feel bad for Russell Wilson because it's just almost like he's not in a good situation right now. You know what I mean? And I think he's way better than what it's being put out, you know what I mean, in Denver. So hopefully we'll see if coaching matters. I think coaching does matter, and I think Sean Payton's going to make a difference, but it probably won't happen this year, you know what I mean, where they're able to unseat the Chiefs or the Chargers or, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that they're that good. They could be that good this year to do that. So I think they do need some more talent, notably on offense, for the Broncos to succeed, but watch out for the Raiders, man. Chiefs got a hard schedule. Chiefs got one of the hardest schedules in the NFL right now to start the season. It's going to be interesting to see what they do the first 4 or 5 games. Because, like I said, week 4, they got the Jets staring them in the face coming. You got the Lions the first game of the season. Then you got the Jaguars week 2. You got the Bears week 3. And you got the Jets week 4. I mean, that's a gauntlet to start the season for the world champs. So we're going to know right off the bat where they stand. I think we're going to be in for a treat, coming up on Thursday night with the Lions and the Chiefs. And, man, Patrick Mahomes, another season. He's got 2 Super Bowls under his belt. Watch out for the Chiefs, man. Can they repeat? Can they be, the first team since the Patriots, back start of this century to actually go and repeat. You know what I'm saying? Can they do it? They got the quarterback, they got the coach, they got the cachet, they got the culture, they got it all right now. You know, the Chiefs are, the NFL standard right now. Other teams are coming, you know what I'm saying? But I think the Chiefs are ultimately the best team in the AFC. I mean, obviously in their division, but they are still the best team in the AFC. We'll see. Talk to me. This V for the win. AFC West preview, y'all. Peace.